Hello everybody. A little bit of a fall there, I apologise. But it's me, an unkempt. The unkemptness is gone. Look at this, I stroke my very lovely beard. Because I'm well. I'm getting better. I don't know why I'm like turning into TikTok. I'm doing well. The sky. I'm doing some sort of like improv Shakespeare. which would be fun. They actually do that in improv. They actually improvise the whole Shakespearean play in some parts of Canada and America. I find that incredibly impressive. But anyway, as you can tell, I'm better. Actually, my eyes are open. I look willing and able, and that's because I am getting there. It's been a really long, hard process, but one that I want to share. It's interesting because some people would be like, "Why you want to share this and all this kind of thing?" And I'm like, because I care, and I don't really care what people perceive of me, because well, that's not strictly true. Obviously, I do care about. I do care a great deal about the people that matter to me, wanting them to understand my reasonings and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, in terms of people having a problem with it, I suppose is the better way of phrasing it, is because the reason I don't have a problem saying this and defending it is because it's true. and you can't change the truth just as much as, and the facts basically, you're not even just true, they're facts. It is a fact that I'm ill. It is a fact that I got ill enough that I needed to go to hospital. It is a fact that I nearly died. It's a fact that I'm better, and I'll and you need to talk to the source, as in me, to really know that. And I've been fighting the sort of mental health system, in particular one particular team, to get the help I need, which is something I definitely want to talk about, because I want to convey there's only one way you can look at someone and be upset with them being ill. Now, you can be upset with them because they're not trying hard enough, which I have got. Now, if I tell you that, bipolar disorder I have and has been affecting me my entire life, it was established the first time. So I deal with this in some way every day. Now the difference is that just acknowledging that is fine. I am completely okay with people just acknowledging that, because I acknowledge it every day. I go, okay, my bipolar disorder is affecting me today. I'm going to try and do what I can to not let it affect anybody else. Now, if you understand that, then think about all the time you've known me, no matter however long it is, and how much I've never let it become an issue. I don't think people really truly understand how hard that is for people who have mental health stuff like I do, because it's overwhelming. If I get as ill as I did the last 3 months, it is impossible to stop, which is why I ended up where I ended up. It's gonna happen. It's a bit like when someone hits a brick wall in terms of being overwhelmingly tired or overwhelmingly feel like they can't cope with something. You just shut down. But in my case, it's actually life-threatening if I shut down. If I choose to accept what I have and give up completely, I'm not going to survive. And everyone will be like, and that may be scary to hear, but imagine dealing with it every day. That must put me in a worse situation. And that's just a fact. And believe me when I say, and I can't believe I need to say this, if it was any other way, do you think I would do it? Of course I would. I don't want to be like this all the time. course I don't. Why would I want to be? But the proof is that I can manage it and maintain it most of the time, because if I was as ill, because it's ill, it's not me. If I had the illness I had for the last 3 months to that level, to that seriousness, would you want to be my friend if I was like that the whole time? Of course not. I would deserve not anyone to know me. But that's a very interesting sentence, isn't it? Deserving anyone not to know me, because is it deserving for me to have what I have? I don't think you think that's for me to decide. But I personally think, no, I don't deserve it, because I think I treat people well when I'm well. But to tarnish me with something I went through that was unavoidable is bizarre and deeply unfair, because anyone who has met me, I try and give the impression of that I'm a very nice person and very, friendly and fun and all that kind of thing, and I still maintain that I'm like that. And I get messages off people saying I've inspired them. Now that means the absolute world to me. And surely if I'm around people, and I've heard this before, is that I do inspire them to do better for themselves. Now that's a great thing. Why would you not want more of that? Because I do. There's certain people in my life that inspire me. That's why I want to be friends with them. They inspire me to do better. They inspire me to do more. They inspire me to be a better person. I don't think I'm the finished product as a person, because I'm always learning. I'm always trying to be better. I don't have all the answers. I have hardly any answers. But in terms of my mental health, I'm the one that has the most answers. Because mental health is the most individual thing you can have. Because it's your individual brain. It's the most unique thing we have. But to say to someone who has mental health as serious as me to try more or to do more, like I have a choice in how things have happened, is deeply unfair. Because if I tell you as a person that I work incredibly hard, then that's my real me. That's my personality trait. So why does that dictate that suddenly I'm not trying hard because I've got an illness? Because it's affecting me. It is destroying my capacity to deal with it. It's self-defeating. But it's not. I'm not being self-defeating. My brain's deciding to do that. Now, what people really don't get, which is understandable because it's very difficult to understand, but sometimes your brain dictates what you're doing. You don't have complete control of your thoughts. And to prove that on a very simplistic level, think about on an average day how often you think about something you don't want to. Because right now, I'm, for example, thinking about a lot of the time a particular one of my closest friends who isn't speaking to me because of what I went through. Now it hurts me to think about that, but I'm a caring person, and I want to see her, and I want her to be alright, for both of our sakes. And I wouldn't be the real Stephen if I didn't think that way. That's who I am. Asking me to not do that is not me. Because what's the point then? What's the point in me caring if I don't care about someone when they're not there? That shows you care. Because you just get on with your life and think, no, I don't need to think about what they're doing. You wouldn't have the ability to care about someone if you weren't doing that. But I tried incredibly hard to get the help I need, and the reason that it had to be fought is because I've been affected by my bipolar disorder all of this year, really, in terms of not feeling completely in control of my emotions and how I'm feeling and processing things. It got really bad mid-July. Now, in terms of the things I tried to do is trying to get the crisis team involved. Now, crisis is a very interesting thing, because what is a crisis? Now, they usually pretty much say that a crisis is, other than a sexual thing, is is couldn't resist. I'm depressed. Is see how sadistic I am. I am being funny about something rather serious. But you know, it could be like you've had a crisis of confidence and you're really struggling in life. You are feeling bad about things, but unfortunately a lot of the time they're like a band-aid and that they're a short-term fix. Now, for someone with a long-term problem like I do, or what was becoming a long-term problem, is you kind of put on the back burner, you know, because you're not regarded, because it's long-term, you're not regarded as a threat. Yet what's interesting is, with a long-term issue of mental health, you're more at risk. But because you're not at risk literally at the time that they see you, you're put on the back burner. Now, think about that process. How backward does it sound? It's understandable, but how backwards does it sound? Because a long-term problem doesn't exist until a short-term problem doesn't get solved. So, what ended up happening with me was, I needed therapy. I knew that I needed it. So they got along the process of getting me therapy as well as giving me some medication to deal with my disorder. But the problem was they're not able to do that medically, which I'll get to in a second. But also, there was a waiting list for therapy. Now, if you're not treated as a serious case needing urgent attention, you're put on the back burner. Like I say, you're put on the extremely long waiting list. Now, the problem with that is that it becomes a long-term problem while you're waiting, which is terrible. And to prove that, I'm going to tell you the legal stuff that I can now talk about because I won, which is great. They waited and left me, the mental health team that I was involved with, for 1 month without giving me any help at all. And my medication stopped working. So I had 1 month of having my symptoms and not having any help at all when I was in a situation that I needed as much help as possible. Now, that is the scariest thing to be in, where you know you need external help and it's out of your control, and the people who are supposed to do that have fucked up, basically, because they didn't put in my referral quick enough. And they didn't tell me. So I waited far too long. Because basically you times the amount of how much symptoms I'm having by how much help you're getting. So with me having no help at all, 1 month might as well have been a year. In terms of how much it's going to hurt me, how much it hurt me. And I'll show you why by what ended up happening. Because what I ended up doing was I tried to get the crisis team were involved, and now your answer could be go to an emergency hospital. Did you know if you go to an emergency hospital, to an emergency unit, they can't help you in relation to mental health because they ask you to go to your GP. So you can speak to a doctor, but they won't give you anything to help you through your problems. So that kind of shows you how difficult it is to know where to go. And the thing is, if you go to a GP, they can't diagnose you with anything other than depression. Now, the issue with that is, there's been people, like myself, who get diagnosed with depression when there's something more serious going on. So, the stigma is, I go to the GP, oh, but your GP says you've got depression. They know more than we do. It's not a case of that they know more. It's a case of, it's the only thing they can diagnose you with. Because if you're not diagnosed, they're regarded as not doing their job. So the problem is, if you've got more than depression, they're very reluctant to put you on to something more serious, and also a GP can't. So you've got to convince a GP to go on to get a psychologist involved or a psychiatrist, and the problem with that is there's a 10-month waiting list if you're transferred over by a GP. 10 months. Now imagine how much that is going to affect someone like me. And so there's a gap of getting short-term help from your GP and a 10-month period of waiting to get the long-term help. Now, what do we do in between them 10 months? There's nowhere to go. Oh, wait, you go to the crisis team who only see you for a limited amount of time and then go, there you go, we're done. We'll see you another time. So the only solution for people like myself is to get so ill and so bad that eventually they go, you need to go to hospital because you're struggling. Now, if you think about this objectively, if they deal with you or deal with me and my illness a lot sooner, would I needed to go in a hospital? Would I have got as bad? Would I have got as ill? Would I have got as many symptoms? The answer is no. And they know that. But the system is flawed for people like me. Because that means us as a society and the mental health system are okay with the risk of losing people. And at the very least, to suffer so long needlessly. And that's what I'm fighting. Not just for me. Because I tried to get help for that long, and then eventually they went, oh, we've fucked up, so we'll take you to a hospital. I was in hospital for 2 months. And then I got out of hospital a couple of weeks ago, and they then said, oh, you've got to wait till next year to get help. So, having gone through 3 months of getting well enough to get therapy and medication and try and live my life again, they're like going, but in terms of the help we know you need, that we told you were going to get, you got to wait another 3 months. Like that's just a drop in the ocean, like, 3 months, so he can manage that. When I'm struggling every day, and they know that because I was in hospital for 2 months. Now, you don't go into hospital for 2 months unless it's serious. Because most of the time, about 75% of people at the hospital go in, find out what they've got, have a 72-hour assessment, and then leave and get the help they need in their regular life because they can manage being in their regular life. Now, I could barely hold up a pen. I could barely get out of bed. And not because I was a lazy shit or I wasn't trying hard enough, because I was so ill. And I just had thoughts all the time about giving up. And about just... And everyone's like, but why don't you just not think that? Because your brain... My brain was telling me that all the time. So the real me inside was going, why is my brain... I don't want to think like that. But I have to because if you've got your body breaking down and your brain, you're not in control of your thoughts, of course you're going to feel suicidal because you're not in control of anything in your life. It's chaos. The whole world's chaos. You look outside the window and you're going, there's nothing that I'm in control of. There's nothing in my life that's normal, that is okay. And I'm in a place where I can't walk out the door. I'm in a place where if I don't get well, I'm in here forever. And you get people saying in response to that, but you need to do it. You need to do more. You need to get out of there. And there'll be people who will watch this and go, but we were right, Stephen. You're better now. So it just came down to you. No, it didn't. It came down to 30 other mental health teams, to some friends, and my willpower. But it took way longer than it needed to. Just like I'm saying in regards to the professional help. It took longer. So people are prepared to take the risk that I might die. I mean, how crazy is that? Because if the crisis team had ascertained how serious it was, I probably would have ended up in hospital. And I would have been in hospital a lot sooner. So if we take, for example, the middle of July. Now, if they had diagnosed me correctly and took it more seriously than they did, I would have been in hospital for maybe, 2 weeks to a month. Would have got out mid to late August. And then I would have had a 30-day wait, maybe, to get therapy. So what's that? Mid to late September? Yeah, so that's what would have happened if everything had went according to plan. But now I'm waiting till I would have been waiting according to them when I got out of hospital. So I was in hospital for 2 months, was waiting 2 months to get help. So that's 4 months, and now asking me to wait till January, late January, the earliest to get help, the help that I need after I leave. So that's 6 months waiting period. Whereas under if everything went well, I would have got help within 2.5 months. And I never would have got as ill as I got now. If I got more people in my personal life understanding it, and more people in the professional help understanding it. And that's the position the system and the stigma puts me in. Because I can't change what I'm about to tell you. The truth is, and the fact is, you could have lost me. And I don't feel I'm worth losing. Now I don't, because I'm well. But the fact is, I broke a drawer inside the hospital to get a nail to slit my wrists. And there's people going to be listening to that going, why are you telling me this? Is this a guilt thing? It's not. I wanted to end my life because of the pain and suffering my disorder gave me. Not because of the way people treated me. All I'm saying is, the way people have treated me made stop my illness from hurting me as much. And that's the key point. And it doesn't mean, because I had an illness, that it didn't happen. It did. And unfortunately, the way people look at mental health is how serious it gets to suicide. And I was as close as you get. I was 5 minutes away from dying. 5 minutes. And if you watch this video, that's 4 times. This is currently 4 times as long. 5 minutes. Now, do I deserve to die? That's not for me to decide. Especially when I was going through something as terrible as that. And it's a fact. So when people say they've got their own stuff to deal with, does that mean there isn't a cut-off point? Does that mean there isn't help? Does that mean we just accept it and say life's unfair, what a bitch it is? Or do we all take responsibility for each other and go, maybe we should do more for each other? Maybe we should help each other? That's how I feel about it. So to end this, to talk about the legal stuff, I fought it and said I should have got help sooner. The way I was treated was appalling. And instead of me waiting until sometime next year, where I'm going to get worse and worse and worse from this point on, when I'm feeling as good as I do now, this is the best I've felt in a while. Since I've been ill, I feel a lot better. I want to get better. So I'm not going to let these fuckers determine how long I need to wait. I don't want to wait anymore. I don't want to go through what I went through. Every single day wanting to die. Every single day in so much pain I couldn't get out of bed. I want my life back. I want my friends back. I want people to understand. Because now, after me fighting my illness and having the motivation to know that this is immoral and wrong, I'm now getting help in December. Because I fought it. Now you say I don't fight it. I fight what's wrong. Because that is our responsibility, is to fight this because it's wrong and immoral. And the system is flawed. Whether you want to agree it or not, that's happening. And only we can do something about it together. Because the thing I can end on saying is, I love human beings. I have a compassion for them. And when I see someone suffer in any form, I want to help them. Because I suffer every day with my illness. But I don't let people see it. So when it gets serious, I shouldn't be criticised for that. I'm trying my best. And that's all I've ever been doing. And the key thing is, if I wasn't trying at all, I would not have beat this at all. And I apologise for the intrusion because someone's come to see me, ma'am. So if you can hear that, I apologise. But all that I wanted to end on saying is, the reason I care and want to keep talking about this is because 75% of people that have what I have don't make it. So for every person that gets as back to being as well as I am now, for every person like me, there's 3 who don't make it. And I don't even know them. They're somewhere in this world. But I care about them because they're another human being. So I want to help them. All I'm asking is that if you cared, you need to help me too. And forgive me for being ill. Which sounds weird to say. Forgive someone for being ill. I'm sorry for the way that I've been. I'm getting better. But I miss people. And I want to see people again. And I'm fighting this and doing it every day. And that's all you can ask me to do. And that's all I've ever done. And, you know, the real Stephen, who you see now, is really feels bad for making people feel bad. But if they feel bad because of what I went through and telling people that I went through this, they're not looking at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is there's more people just than me that go through it. And whether you want to admit this or not, what I went through was really serious. And the fact that I'm talking to you now, right now, is purely by chance. I hope this is perceived the right way. I hope this sort of slaps people in the face, but in the right way. And realise that I was simply someone that was worth bothering about 3 months ago to someone who got ill, got angry and frustrated and desperate, and very nearly died. And if you just treat it as basically as that, it's nobody's fault. Let's just hope we can start treating this seriously, because it happens a lot, more than you think. And I don't want to go through that again. But I'm pleased to say, to end on a really good, really positive note, I'm back. I'm silly. I'm working hard to be better. It's still difficult, but not impossible. And I'm not feeling bad anymore. At least not all the time. Maybe 10% of the day, but considering it was 95% of the day when I was in hospital, I'll take that any day. So and I think in a simple sense, people should be proud of me, because I statistically shouldn't have beat it, and I did. All I'm asking is, in future, and with other people, to not take that risk again. And just, let's all learn and understand more about it. That's what I want. Because I don't want to have kids and my nephew or anyone else to go through what I did. It just isn't fair. And it isn't fair how I behaved. But it's unavoidable. So I hope I'm forgiven. I hope that people get to see my smiley face and want to see me be silly again. Maybe play a few songs to them. Thank you if you took the time to listen to this half an hour video. And I hope to see you down the road soon. I love you all. Bye bye.